and welcome to the Astranti strategic analysis for the operational case study for November 2018, where we are looking at GymFit. So this video is part of our overall video series where we're analysing GymFit in the pre-scene, and hopefully by now you will have seen the pre-scene videos, where that was a series of 6 videos where I looked through the pre-scene we've been given this time for November 2018 and gone through that in detail. Now this video is the strategic analysis, and the idea here is that we're going to end up with an overall strategy for the company that's going to help us to first and foremost understand the company, and then that's going to help us to write our answers and do well in the exam, because we've got a good idea of what the strategic goals of the company are and thus how to appropriately respond in the exam. So let's get started on this one then. So let's start with a quick introduction to the case. So the company we're looking at, as we've already said, is called GymFit. And GymFit are a fast-growing leading provider, leading is important, of low-cost gyms. And they are in fact one of the pioneers of this particular model of low-cost gyms. And the idea with a low-cost gym is that, well, it's in the name, it's very low cost, and the aim of the company is to cut costs as much as possible. It's all about operational efficiency, so you are the cheapest provider out there. And the idea is that you get lots of customers in, attracted by your low prices. The company was formed in 2005, and it was formed using finance from a venture capital firm called Land Ventures. And since then, they've grown rapidly to earn sale revenue of 73.1 million in the last year that we have information for, which is 2017. So they're very rapid growth over its fairly short history. In addition to that, they are a listed company, and they're currently listed on the Cautland Stock Exchange, and Cautland is the country in which they are based. So there's a quick sort of introduction to the company. So what we're going to do then is perform what we call a strategic analysis using the rational model. And so the rational model is the thing we're using to help us here. So this is what that looks like. So it has 3 aspects. And the first aspect is what you can see on the screen here. And this is looking to the future. So the idea is that we look to the future and what the company wants to achieve, where it wants to be down the road, maybe a year, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years. And to get an idea of that, we start by looking at missions and objectives for where they want to be in that time. Now, there are other key aspects to looking at where a company will be in the future as well. And some of those are on the screen. So we're going to look at critical success factors. So exactly what the company needs to do, what they need to get right in order to succeed. We need to look at governance and ethics. Governance is particularly important for this company as a listed company. So corporate governance will be very important. Ethics is always important, very important part of CIMA exams. And another part of this is going to be stakeholder mapping. Now, stakeholder mapping, essentially what we're talking about here is Mendelow's matrix, and having our 4 segments and putting our various stakeholders in different places to get an idea of how to respond to the needs of those stakeholders. So in the first part of this video then, we'll be focusing on these key areas to get an idea of where the company wants to be or should aim to be in the future. And once we have that covered, we look at where the company is now. We do a sort of an analysis and evaluation of its current position. And that involves looking at the business environment in which it operates. And that will be using the PESTEL analysis. So politics, economical, social, technical, environmental and legal sort of aspects that will impact the environment in which the business operates. We're going to look at we'll do a market analysis, looking at the company's brand and the 4 Ps of the marketing mix to get an idea of what it's doing now to essentially sell itself. We're going to consider Porter's value chain and look at all the different areas in which the company are adding value to their core and support functions and operations. And then that will lead us to our SWOT analysis, and the SWOT analysis is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And once we've done that, we'll come up with a business strategy that aims to capitalize on strengths mitigate and minimize weaknesses, take opportunities, and to mitigate or avoid threats. So that's the structure of this video. That's roughly what we'll be doing. So we'll be looking at where the company wants to be, establishing where it is now, and thus the business strategy will be the bridge, if you like, that gets us from where we are now to where we want to be. And having a good idea of the business strategy is of course going to help you in the exam when it comes to answering questions, giving advice, doing reports, whatever it is. If you know the company strategy, then you can give really good advice and really good answers, because you can give your answer in line with what you know the company should be aiming to do long term. Okay, so the first step then is to look at the first stage of the rational model, which is looking at the future, mission and objectives we'll start with, and we'll move on to look at these other areas as we move through. So the key here is that we're looking for where the company wants to be in the future and establishing that. So to start with, we'll think a bit about the mission, the company's mission. So this is thinking what organizations are all about, where they exist, for whom do they exist, what they're trying to achieve, etc., etc. And the idea of a mission is that it provides a common purpose, it gives focus for the organization's strategy, and it gives direction to directors to guide objectives and strategic thinking. So the four key areas to come up with a good mission statement are the purpose, the strategy, values, and policy. So if we start with purpose then, so we have to answer the question, why does the organization exist, and for whom does it exist, and what does the organization hope to achieve in the long term? Have a think about it yourself. What do you think? If you're trying to answer this question for GymFit, why does the organization exist, and for whom does it exist? Well, if we're trying to really boil it down to the basics, they exist for people who want to stay fit conveniently and on a budget. So one key aspect of their approach is that it's low cost. So it's appealing to people who maybe don't have the money or don't want to spend that much money on going to the gym. It's convenient because it's a 24/7 gym. And so pretty much you can go whenever you want. And it's so with those two things covered, it's applying to any of the people who, anyone who wants to stay fit. Because of course, people aren't going to the gym if they have no interest in going to the gym in the first place. So in the long term, what do they hope to achieve? Well, we might say that they want to become the leading provider of low-cost gyms in Celtland. They're currently in second place, behind a slightly more a company that has a bigger market share, but they're certainly already one of the leading providers, if not the top. But there is competition coming in, so if they aim to be the leading provider in the long term in Celtland, that would be something to aim for and to maintain that position. And we might even ask whether they have any interest in developing internationally. It's one thing being a leading provider in Celtland, but gyms are generally the same all over the world, and so they might consider expanding internationally once they've sort of established themselves in their home market. Okay, so what about their strategy? How will the organization compete and the range of businesses that it operates within? Well, we've already sort of mentioned this a bit, but one of the key areas, and this is specifically mentioned in the pre-scene, there are three elements to this company's strategy. The first one is operational efficiency through essentially cost control. That's a key part of the company's, is going to be a key part of the company's strategy. Another one is member retention. So making sure that once a member joins the gym, that they stick around and stay as a member for more than just a few months. And another key aspect of the strategy is IT development, making sure that they're developing their IT and technology to stay at the cutting edge and using those IT and technical developments to help with operational efficiency and potentially member retention. So what about their values? What does the organization stand for? We could probably list a few things here. So key for them is value for money. The whole concept is based on them being a cheaper alternative than the mid-range and premium gyms. They're convenient. They're open 24/7. They're very simple. You can go online, book your sort of session, get your membership. It's all very convenient as long as you're comfortable with using the technology. And of course, innovation, technology, making sure that they have all the online stuff is all set up so it's nice and streamlined, that you can use IT using computers to remove the need for things like reception and customer services that you might get in a traditional gym. Okay, so policies then are things that people are expected to follow. So the company has a no contract membership, and that's a policy that means that people aren't tied in to long fixed contracts for 6 months or 12 months that are going to cost a lot of money. Very inconvenient for a person who wants to join a gym but perhaps doesn't want to commit to 12 months and so is completely put off of joining a gym. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so they're very convenient. And so another one of their policies to maintain that convenience is to stay open for as long as possible. And of course, they have their gyms are staffed for about 16 hours a day. So for 8 hours a day, they are unstaffed. And again, they're using technology and to help out there by having CCTV in operation, and that is monitored 24/7. So just before we finish, I'd like to take you through some of the products we offer in the entire case study course. So this is just one element of the whole course, and I'll just go through the other things that we offer here. So to start with, we have a study text that is devoted to the operational case study, and that's split into 2 parts. The first part is a guide to how to pass the case study exam. It's full of exam tips, exam strategy, time management, preparation and planning, how to write to the marking criteria, all those kinds of things. And then part 2 of that study text is a condensed version of all the relevant material of the kind of things that come up in the exam over and over. So essentially it's the most popular topics that have come up in past exams from E1, P1 and F1. And so those are the 2 study texts available for the operational case study course. And we also do course videos that are roughly based around that first study text. So the exam advice and the timing, the planning, all the things that go in to preparing an exam strategy. We have an entire series of videos that go through that in detail. So if you're more of a visual learner rather than a reader, you can check those out and they'll be a great help in getting you past the exams. The pre-scene analysis is the series of 6 videos where we look through the actual pre-scene in minute detail, going through every paragraph, making notes and looking how we can use this information to better prepare for the exam when the exam comes up. Separate from that is an industry analysis, and that is a document and a video as well, so the 2 are in tandem, and the document is about 100 pages looking at the industry in which the company exists. So for example, if the case company is in the car and they're a car manufacturer, then the industry analysis would be an analysis of the car industry. And that's like I say, that's a large document where we break it down, and we're essentially, the point of that is we're doing the research for you to save you time and energy. And the really great thing about the industry analysis is that we include 25 industry examples at the end. So things that happened in the real industry. So the example I just used, it being the car industry. If we were doing the car industry, we'd take 25 examples from the car industry of relevant news and things that have happened to companies and to the industry and consumers or whatever it is. As when we get from those 25 examples, we write a little exam paragraph, the kind of thing that you can literally rehearse and put it in your exam if it's relevant. Examiners do like to see that you have a wider industry knowledge, and so putting in a little example like that can get you good marks. We do mock exams. For the operational case study, we write 3 mock exams, and we have a free mini mock that you can do that are based on the actual CIMA style case study. So they're computer based, they're online, and they're timed, and it's as close to the real thing as we can possibly make it. And that's a really good way to prepare you for the exam. Each time we write our questions based on the pre-scene that's just been released. And with those mock exams, you can get marking and feedback, and that's really essential for you to, if you do your mock exams, I would recommend also getting marking and feedback, because you can then see where you went wrong or what you did well. And the feedback allows you to improve on that. Really important part that a lot of students skip over, and they really struggle in the exam because they weren't prepared, they hadn't done the mock exams. We have masterclasses that run over a course of 2 separate weekends, running up to the exam, and they're essentially a live online class webinar where our tutor will go through with you the kind of a revision one where we're recapping on the most important topics from the E1, P1 and F1 syllabus, and one will be sort of more exam focused. And then finally, we offer pass guarantee, which means that if you meet all the requirements, so you use all these different products that are available, and you fill in a checklist to say that you've done those, but you still don't pass your exam, you're unfortunate or whatever, then we will allow you to resit our course, to take our course again at no extra charge. That's really great for people who are perhaps taking it for the first time and they don't quite pass, but they need to take the course again. If you've gone through that scheme and you've done everything that we ask you to do, then we'll give you the course again for free. Okay, and that's that. Just gives you an overview of the course that we have available.